Hi, and welcome to the U World Order Showcase podcast. I'm your host, Jill Hart, and today we have with us Craig Meriwether. Craig is a certified clinical hypnotherapist and founder of Arizona Integrative Hypnotherapy, helping people eliminate the negative emotions and limiting beliefs that may be keeping them from reaching their full potential. Welcome to the show, Craig. It's really great to have you here.
Hi, Joe. Thank you. I've been looking forward to this for a while now. We kind of been going back and forth for what seems like a month or two, and been it's finally here. So I'm looking forward to talking with you.
Yeah, this is great. So, how did you get into this? Was there like some turning point in your life that you just decided that got to do something?
Yeah. Well, it started off, I guess try to the long answer to what probably should be a short question, but to getting to this work was my own issues, my own hurt and pain I was dealing with. I was really struggling with a lot of anxiety and depression as a teenager, and that's back in the 1980s. No internet at that point, no
Okay.
even SSRI kind of drugs like Prozac and things like that. Those didn't come out till the mid 1990s, late 1990s. And so really it was just, you know, talking to your doctor or a talk therapist or whatever book you could find at the bookstore or the library. And teenagers not going to do any of those things. At least I wasn't, because you don't know any better. You just think that this is the way it is. This is how everybody feels. And I sort of just struggled with it through the 1990s and just felt familiar. And I think a lot of people can understand that. It's just comfortably miserable, but it's comfortable because you don't know any better. And it was really the birth of my son in the year 2000 that I really thought, I need to get it together. My mother struggled with depression and anxiety. I struggle with depression and anxiety. So whether it's a nurture or nature thing, whether it's a genetic component to it or just mirroring what was in the home, I want to make sure my son, if I wasn't mirroring it to him, if it is a genetic component that got triggered, then I want to, have some tools so I could show him, how to manage or how to deal with it or eliminate it. And so I started just working on myself, kind of on and off, a lot of trial and error. And at that point, 2000, 2001, the internet's out there. So a lot of information you can get your hands on and just started working with the tools and the strategies and learning some skills. And again, on and off, and life gets in the way and a new baby and all that kind of stuff, moving. But I kept it up. I kept practicing here and there and learning more. And one day I just woke up and realized, I hadn't felt depressed or anxious in a really long time. It was just kind of, I'd have rewired myself, reset my nervous system. And I realized I had this toolbox full of tools. And I started doing different things in terms of like writing. I wrote a book on depression back in, 2010 or 2011 or so. And, doing telesummits. Back then you did telesummits and, all sorts of different things. I started my own podcast. And it was around that time when I had the opportunity to study to become a hypnotherapist. And that was one of the things that really helped me was therapeutic hypnosis. Because what I like about it is you're not looking outside of yourself to fix somebody. I think that's, a lot of that work of whether it's talk therapy, something like that, well, I'm going to go to this person, they're going to fix me. They're going to figure me out and they're going to fix me. And, you're there 2 years later and you're still struggling because they haven't figured out the root issue. You know what the root issue is, maybe not consciously, but it's there in your unconscious because that's what's causing you to change brain chemistry to create the feeling state of anxiety or depression or anger or overwhelm or worry. These are just warning signals that there's danger. Your mind is trying to warn you through the feeling states within your body, anxiety, depression, anger, overwhelm, that there's danger. It wants to keep you safe, wants to keep you protected. It's just maybe using faulty instructions on how to do that. And you're the one that's allowed to change it. I mean, technically, you're the one who put it in there, even, yes, through distress, through trauma, through humiliation or embarrassment or situations, circumstances that cause fear or anger. It wasn't your fault and it shouldn't have happened. It wasn't fair, especially as a child. And those instructions on how to keep you safe were more than likely put in there unconsciously, but you're the one who put them in there, which becomes actually very empowering because, well, if if you put them in there as a child, what can you do as an adult? And so, or as a teenager, or as a child. So I found that very fascinating, very interesting. And the more I just researched consciousness and mind and healing, and I just thought hypnotherapy is such an extraordinary modality. And so I got the opportunity to train at a really wonderful academy, Hypnotherapy Academy of America, which is the premier hypnotherapy academy here in America. And but people from all over the world were there, Europe, South America, and it was just an extraordinary training of about 500 hours, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, 2.5 months at a real, school you went to. So it was extraordinary training, learned all sorts of wonderful techniques. And since then, with continuing education, and the reason why, again, I told you a long answer to maybe a short question, but the reason why I focused, at least this program, Ace Any Test, on test anxiety, is because I was getting a lot of people in my practice one-on-one with test anxiety, and not teenagers. I was working with people in their 30s, and they had to take a professional exam, licensing exam, certification exam. Maybe there's a 65-year-old who in retirement is bored, is like, oh, what about real estate? Maybe I'll become a real estate agent. And they have to take their real estate, realtor's licensing exam. They haven't taken a test in 55 years. So it's not just because a student in high school is taking the SATs or the algebra final or something like that. There's all sorts of things, including like a kid in university, he or she has got to take the MCATs to get in medical school, or the LSATs to get in law school, or you graduate law school. Now you got to take the bar exam. Isn't that something like a 10-hour exam over 2 days or something insane like that? I know an auto mechanic here in town where I live, and he did something like that. It was like a 2-day test of 3 hours each to be certified as an auto mechanic for the state.
Or
And so it's
real
not just
estate
high
or
school or college.
insurance or
Yeah.
just a
Massage
hairdressers.
therapist. Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
sorts of things. Physical therapy. And
Yeah.
one of the first people I ever worked with was a extraordinarily intelligent woman who had decided to niche her field and wanted to become an audiologist, working with kids with hearing impairment, deaf children. What an extraordinary thing to do with life as a career. And she just couldn't pass the licensing exam to start her career. And it's not just, oh God, I failed a test. Now you got to tell your family and friends you failed again. And this test was something ridiculous, like $600 per
Mhm.
test. And doesn't matter whether you
Pass or fail, you
pass or
gotta pay
fail, they're
that
going
money.
to check. And she spent tens of thousands of dollars in training and a year's worth of her life in training, and the starting salary was something like $80,000. So it's like pretty painful when you're not passing that test. And like I said, she was extraordinarily intelligent. She was top of her class in high school, top of her class getting her bachelor's. But the issue came when she went to graduate school to get her master's degree. The school was filled with people who were at the top of the class. So, it's a school filled of one percenters in terms of being at the top, the valedictorians and all that. And the stress started first time for her because now she's up against the best of the best. And, to remain at the top of the heap, whatever that meant to her, extra studying, extra work, lack of sleep, all that kind of stuff. And what you practice, you get better at. And she got really good at feeling anxious, or, not need to get, not just get an A on the test. You need to get 100%. You need to get 105% because you did the extra
Yeah, all
credit
the
stuff.
extra credit.
And so the stress and the anxiety all sort of got linked to taking tests because that was the judgment of how well she was doing. She was going to graduate either way, but she, for whatever reason, uh, in her past decided, whether through herself, through parents, through friends, through bullies or whatever, needed to be at the top of the top. And she just carried that just to become her norm. She carried it with her. And she did great at audiology training when she was getting that education. But when it came time to take the test, it just blew apart. She knew the information backwards and forwards. And so I worked with her and I started working with other people with the same issue. Again, whether you know, uh, somebody getting their master's degree or a specialized training, like a plumber or electrician or a high school student, or an actor or a musician doing auditions. or, public speaking phobia. And they're all the same kind of thing because really the root issue comes down to fear of judgment or fear of failure. And maybe, something else, but those are the two big ones. And so when looking at that issue, there didn't seem to be a whole lot out there to help people with. You can find what's extraordinary is you can find a lot of stuff around golf. Like how to because that's a very mind game. You know, Certainly there's a lot of athletic prowess in terms of swing and strength and all that kind of thing. But really, it's about focus and mindset. And so you can find a lot of information on the internet and books and classes and videos and trainings on how to get the mindset, the focus to become a great golfer. But there was nothing about test anxiety. A couple of books on Amazon, maybe a couple of classes on one like Teachable or something for $12 in a half an hour class. And, maybe a couple 5-minute videos on YouTube. And there was nothing comprehensive, strangely, about test anxiety, even though some research shows that 30%, 36% of people taking tests, no matter what age you're talking about, struggle with it. And so a lot of the tools I had come up, not come up with, but had learned through my own healing and just training as a therapeutic in therapeutic hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming, those kind of modalities, and working with people with test anxiety, I put it together in this program to help people, again, whether you're, a high school student or junior high school or a college student in university, or you're, a career, you're working on professional stuff or public speaking or auditions or anything like that. And it's really all about just helping people feel comfortable and confident, whether you take an exam, taking a test, doing an audition or something like that.
Well, for job interviews.
Yeah. Or job, there's a good one too. Yeah. Yeah. Of course, you're doing a PhD or something like that. You're doing an oral defense of your PhD, your dissertation, but a job interview, man, fear of judgment, of fear of failure. You don't get that job. And yeah, I can only imagine what an actor goes through. You walk into an audition, there's 50 other people who look exactly like you. And, a job interview, maybe it's down to 5, 6 people, and you all have the same credentials, you all have the same kind of academic background. You're all perfect for the job, you know. So it's really coming down to you, really, and making that connection. That can be nerve-wracking. Yeah. 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 We're running into tests all day long. Even if you graduated high school a long time ago, we're dealing with tests all day long. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime you're going to do something that requires someone to make a determination whether you're qualified or not, you're being tested.
Yeah. 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 And it really comes down to, and there's other aspects and other factors to it, depending on your particular situation, but we don't want to fail. And that's I think, one of the biggest unfortunate aspects of school. Maybe they're doing it differently now, or they're trying to do it differently, but you got punished if you didn't do well. Whether you get that big F on the test or the D minus, and then maybe you don't pass the class, and now you got to go to summer school if you're back in high school or grade school or something. Or, you show your report card to your parents and now you're grounded, or you're in trouble, or you don't get your allowance, or you don't get to go to the dance or hang out with your friends or whatever it is. And so it's not that you look at the test and say, oh, you really don't know your times tables, or your vocabulary isn't doing so well. Let's focus on that. Let's get some extra help. Let's find you a tutor, or let's do some extra work to catch you up to make sure you can move on to the next phase of education. It's like, oh, you're stupid and you need to be
Now
punished.
you're labeled.
Yeah. And why wouldn't you take that? You don't want to feel that again. It's a safety thing. And so if you equate not feeling safe or feeling like, well, the last time I took a test, I failed and all these consequences happened due to that, why would you want to take a test again? Or why would you feel comfortable and confident taking a test? And the more tests you take, the less maybe confident you're going to feel. And what you practice, you get better at. What is strongest within your mind is what you do over and over again. And of course, we know that from learning a musical instrument, playing piano or violin or guitar or something, or learning dance, or learning a foreign language, or learning martial arts. What you practice, you get better at. Learning to walk as a child or learning to ride a bicycle. What is strongest within your mind and your body is what you do over and over again. So what if you're practicing anxiety? What if you're practicing stress or anger, overwhelm? What if you're linking that anxiety to taking a test?
Practicing linking that to the results that you're getting from
Yeah.
whatever you're doing. And I, I, I have lots of experience with people that have gone to take tests and haven't passed them and then tried again and didn't pass them again.
Yeah.
And it kind of builds on itself.
Yeah.
So I would say, get a hold of you before you start going into the
Yeah.
testing.
Yeah, that's a little bit of the unfortunateness of hypnotherapy is we're usually last on the list. Uh, and we get the people who have no hope. They've
Mhm.
gone to the doctors and they can't deal even like physical pain. They can't deal with the low back pain or the hip pain. There's nothing wrong. The MRIs, the X-rays, the SPECT scans, everything, nothing shows anything wrong. For years and years, they were struggling with this pain. They go to talk therapy. So maybe there's an emotional component. 2 years later, after 90 sessions, they're still in pain. They still have the anxiety, still have the anger. And so till finally maybe they read an article or some their friends say, hey, well, I know somebody who went to hypnotherapy and it worked for them. And they're like, okay, fine. What do I got to lose? And so we get a lot of the last resort. There's nothing else they can do except go to hypnotherapy. And it's unfortunate because, you know,
It works so
it
well.
works so well. And it's not just me saying that, it's not just anecdotal
I'm
evidence.
saying it.
Yeah, you can look online, look at the research that's been going on. There was a research study that was released last year. Well, when we're recording this, last year, 2023, in the journal Frontiers in Psychology. And you can actually find it published on the National Institutes of Health. They did a 20-year meta-analysis, meaning they just looked at 20 years worth of hypnotherapy research and found that it has a 99.2% success rate. And that's not me just throwing out numbers. That's literally, you can find that on the internet, especially if you want to do a deep dive into this. Many of you probably know, and probably you, Jill, know that Google has a subsection that only searches research papers published in scientific and medical journals. And so if you just go to regular Google and type in Google Scholar, the first search result will say scholar.google.com. That all that searches is research in scientific and medical journals, and just put in hypnotherapy or put in hypnotherapy and anxiety or hypnosis and pain control or whatever you want to look at. Hypnotherapy and cancer, hypnotherapy and
Whatever your flavor
yeah,
is.
PTSD, and find hundreds, if not thousands, of research showing that this works.
So,
And not just like from universities you've never heard of before. This is Harvard, this is Yale, this is
oh
Stanford,
yeah.
Oxford, Cambridge. This is the big stuff, and published in medical journals you've heard of before. So it's extraordinary, but it still has that kind of film due to the entertainment side of it. You introduced me as a clinical hypnotherapist, and that's mainly just to say, yeah, I don't do entertainment. I don't go to parties or do Las Vegas shows or comedy clubs. And that's fine if that's, entertaining for people, but it's really all about a person's intention. I can't make anybody do anything they don't want to do. So if somebody comes to me to quit smoking and they want to quit smoking, they'll quit smoking. But the reason smoking cessation isn't 100% guaranteed because you might not actually want to quit smoking. You might just want to, and this has happened to a colleague of mine. They had somebody come to them and tell them straight out. It's like, oh, I don't want to quit smoking. I just want to tell my wife that I tried everything, including hypnosis, and maybe I'll just smoke in the garage. Just use it as $800 to just negotiate with their wives to smoke in the garage. And because the intention was not to quit. So guess what? They didn't quit. And just like if somebody wants to come to quit smoking and has the intention to get healthier and save all that money, I can't hypnotize them to go rob a bank. and then we'll split the loot afterwards, just as I can't go into prisons and hypnotize everybody to be a upstanding law-abiding citizen, or I can't hypnotize Elon Musk to write me $1 billion check. The reason I don't have $1 billion check from Elon Musk is I can't make people do anything they don't want to do. And so you see those shows in Las Vegas or comedy clubs or YouTube videos, and understand that everybody on that stage that's singing like Elvis Presley and dancing like Michael Jackson and quacking like a duck and whatever they're doing, they volunteered to do that. Why?
Mhm.
Because they're exhibitionists, they're extroverts. They want a funny video to put on TikTok and Instagram, and they want to make their friends laugh. They want to have fun. I don't want to do that, and I'm guessing, Joe, maybe you probably don't either, and your listeners don't want to do that. But every single person who gets up there volunteered to go up there to have fun. Their intention is to have fun, and guess what? They have fun. They have a great time. And
Can I
so your intention, what if your intention is to heal? What if your intention is to drop that anxiety or that anger or that physical pain that it has no purpose for you? What are the chances that you're going to do it? You know?
I
And
think
again,
they're
this isn't
very
talk
high.
therapy. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And
Can I,
this isn't talk therapy. We're not going to go over and over and over the abuse and the trauma, or if that's what the situation is. And you're going to heal it in a safe and gentle way because you're the one who's doing it, not me.
can I ask you the difference
Sure.
between meditation and hypnotherapy? Because I think sometimes people
Yeah.
also muddy those waters.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a big gray area between what is meditation, what is guided visualization, what is
Mhm.
guided meditation, what is hypnosis, what is neurolinguistic programming. It's a big gray area. But what I tend to tell people is with meditation, it may feel similar,
Mhm.
but with meditation, oftentimes you're focusing your mind to try to reduce your thoughts and the activity of your conscious mind. And so you may just focus on your breath, or maybe you're reciting a mantra, or you're just watching the trees blow in the wind. And if a thought comes, you just allow your mind to go back to watching your breath or focusing on something. With therapeutic hypnosis, we actually want to use the imagination. We want to play pretend. And so that's where, you can pretend you're standing under a gentle, healing waterfall of blue energy, and it's washing away all the stress and the anxiety, not unlike working out in the garden all day long, working outside and you're hot and sweaty and muddy and dirty, and just washes it all away, even on the inside. It's you're using your mind to imagine and to pretend. And I've had people say, well, I don't think I'd be hypnotized because I have an overactive imagination. I have an overactive mind. It's like, great, perfect. You actually might be better at this, than somebody who doesn't. Kids are great at this. 8-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds, they're great at this because who better in imagining things than children? And so it's a lot of playing pretend, a lot of imagining. But what you're doing is communicating directly to that unconscious part of mind. Because that's what I like. So I like storytelling, I like symbolism, I like some metaphor. Doesn't really like that logical, analytical part of mind. That's why I think people get stuck, especially maybe in talk therapy, and not to disparage talk therapy because there's a lot of healing there. A lot of help can happen there, but sometimes I think people get stuck because they're working on problems, but no, they're not working on the problem because it's in the unconscious. And so by moving into a quiet state of mind and body that probably feels similar, maybe even looks similar, if you were to wire people up, here's the person meditating, here's the person and doing therapeutic hypnosis, the brainwave state may look exactly the same,
Mhm.
but we're doing different work. And we actually want to access imagination and that daydreamy state. And so, yeah, what's the difference between meditation, daydreaming out the window at a boring meeting or back in high school math class, and therapeutic hypnosis? That the brain may look exactly the same in terms of how it's firing and the brainwave state you're in, alpha or theta brainwave state, but we're just utilizing it in different ways,
Because your brain
and
really doesn't know the difference between a memory
yeah.
and something that you're imagining.
Yeah, yeah, the brain can't tell the difference. And what's interesting about memory, and I'm sure you probably have had people on your show before talk about memory and things, but with memory, you actually add on to it every time you access a memory. It's really fascinating. So really, while there is some truth to the memory you have. You've actually added on to it every time you accessed it. And so you're manipulating and changing it, which can seem a little scary, but it also, again, is very empowering. Because if you can change how you perceive your past, why not do that? And why not do that to your benefit?
Mhm.
And it's sort of like, an app on your phone. You go on your phone, you're like, my God, I got to update this app again. I just did that like 2 weeks ago. And while it's the same app and it works basically the same way, you've updated it with new information. You can never go back to the original app you downloaded onto your phone maybe 3 years ago.
Mhm.
Same with a memory. One memory expert said that the only way to keep a memory pure is to never think about it, never access it. And so every time you think about memory, so you're changing it, you're manipulating it. So let's do that on purpose. But let's do it for healing. And that's where the power comes in. You're doing it. I don't fix anybody. And hypnotherapy in and of itself doesn't fix anybody. You're going to fix yourself. And we're using the power of your mind. Dr. Irving Kirsch called hypnotherapy a non-deceptive placebo because we're not tricking you into healing like giving you a sugar pill in some sort of pharmaceutical research study, and then you heal yourself because you think you're getting real medicine. You're going to do it on purpose with your intention to heal fully out there. And imagine how much more powerful that's going to be. Yeah.
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 Wow. So do people have to come to your integrative hypnotherapy center, or do you do it
No, no.
online?
Since COVID, I'm sure a lot of people have experienced, like a lot of your listeners and watchers experience it. A lot of this stuff's happening over Zoom. I'd probably say 80% of my sessions nowadays are over just like this. If you're watching this, it'd be just like this. And what's interesting is they've done a lot of research. I love research, and they've done a lot of research because I want to make sure, because I don't want to do stuff that doesn't work,
Mhm.
that affects my business if I start doing things that doesn't work. And so I looked into the research around Zoom sessions, and what the sociologists have shown is that not only do Zoom sessions work as well as in person, there's been some research that shows Zoom sessions work better than in person. And the reason why they think that it works better is that people feel relaxed and comfortable in their homes. They feel safe in their homes. So it's not, it'd just be like talking to you right now. You're sitting in your comfortable chair, or maybe there's your living room where your recliner is, or if you want to sit back in your bedroom on your bed. Just finding a place to be with your laptop, your iPad, or even your phone, whatever is working best, making sure it's charged. But as long as we have good audio and good visual, because
Mhm.
something that 56% of communication is physical. So you want to see people. But as long as we have good communication, good internet connection, it works just as well because you're the one doing the work. It's not like I'm sending energy to you or I'm doing it for you. This isn't physical therapy where I'm helping you manipulate muscles to get stronger and things like that, or massage, where I'm actually doing the work for the healing work. You're doing it yourself. I'm just here to supervise, to facilitate, to lifeguard the situation. So it works great over Zoom. And that's nice. And especially if you like live in a big city, uh, you don't have to drive across town on a busy, rush hour
So
Friday
then you're
afternoon.
stressed when you get there.
Yeah, you're
On top
stressed when
of
your
anxious.
relaxation emphasized. Yeah. And so yeah, again, a long answer to sort of question. It works perfectly well over Zoom. And just like talk therapy or a doctor's appointment or something like that. It works great over Zoom.
Do you do any of this as a group in a group setting,
Mhm.
or is it
Yeah,
just
yeah. In fact, I
one-on-one?
just did I was at a symposium this last weekend for ocular melanoma, eye cancer, which is, boy,
That
that's a
one.
kick to the gut right there. But I was on one of their podcasts, and I was invited because it's near where I live, and I was invited to present hypnotherapy. There was 20 people in the room, and I don't know, something like 100 people on Zoom because they were streaming it. And of course, this has to be more generalized.
Mhm.
Oh, and I can't specifically go, how are you feeling, or check in with every single person. But it does work great over or in group sessions. In fact, I started the reason I even got into the Zoom thing. I was doing classes for the cancer support community. I live in Arizona Integrative Hypnotherapy,
Mhm.
And they opened up, I live in Flagstaff, Arizona, up in the mountains.
Yep.
And we just got snow the other day.
I was
It can be
just
that
through
time
there
of
about
year.
2 weeks
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah. I mean, we're not down south where it's 100 degrees all year long. We're up in the mountains where it gets chilly. And they opened up an office here, March 2020. They opened up their office, and I'd been in
Closed
contact with
it
them because I wanted to
March
run classes
2021.
and do workshops and things and give back and just, help out and spread the word. And we had set up classes for March 2020, and of course, they were the first people I was aware of that actually started canceling things and shutting down offices. Everybody's got a compromised immune system, and went straight to Zoom. And I didn't want to be that guy going, I don't do Zoom sessions. So I was like, I guess I'm learning how to do Zoom classes. And so we were doing group sessions like pain control and healing acceleration and immune system boosting over Zoom with, 15, 20 people in a Zoom class. And it worked great. Did it for years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you offer recordings to reprogram
Yeah.
yourself
Yeah.
for
Well,
confidence?
again, I like giving back. I want people to understand this work. And, a big part of life is just feeling confident in yourself, not just with tests. I mean, that's a big part of life, obviously, but when just in general, life in general, feeling more confident in yourself. And so, yeah, there's 5 different recordings to download. If you go to aceanytest.com, you'll see the little thing pop up, the little window pop up. Or if you look in the menu bar, you'll see something that says "Program Yourself for Confidence," something like that. And yeah, they're there for you to download and to share and to have and to practice with. And they're just recordings to kick back in your most comfortable chair, close your eyes, and just drift and float for 20 minutes, half an hour, and program yourself because you're the one doing the work. Program yourself for confidence. So please, yeah, have that. I'm sure the links will be in the show notes and here and there and everywhere. But or contact me, I'll send you the link to them. And it's just for you to have and you to share. Yeah.
And we'll also put the link to your website on
Mm.
in the show notes so people can
Yeah.
reach out to you if they're interested
Yeah.
in.
And yeah, the best way, I know Arizona Integrative Hypnotherapy is a mouthful. But if you just Google search Flagstaff hypnosis, I'll show up. You'll see me, Arizona Integrative
Mhm.
Hypnotherapy, or just go to aceanytest.com and you can email me from there as well.
Awesome. So, Craig, this has been
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
fascinating. What's the
Fun.
one thing that you hope the audience takes away from the conversation today?
I think the most important thing, if people can really get this idea, I think it's a life changer. It was a life changer for me anyway.
Mhm.
And we mentioned it before. We talked about it. And it's what is strongest within your mind is what you do over and over again. You don't get a black belt in Taekwondo or Judo on your first day of martial arts class. You got to earn that. And you earn it by practicing and doing it over and over and over again. What you practice, you get better at. But what if you're practicing fear? What if you're practicing anxiety or anger or physical pain that has no medical diagnosis to it? What if you keep wiring that not only into your brain but into your nervous system? And I think a lot of people may feel hopeless about that. Like this is the way it's going to be, but it's not. It's you're under control. And that's what the most amazing thing about this work of hypnotherapy is. A lot of people say, oh, I don't want to lose control. I go to hypnotherapists and they're going to make me do quack. I don't know why I'd make people quack like a duck. I don't see the financial benefit to me by having people quack like a duck. But think they're going to lose control. Really, what this work is it's giving you back control. You're doing the work. I don't fix anybody. You fix yourself. It's giving you back control. And there's what you practice, you get better at. So what if you practice confidence with those recordings that you can download? What if you practiced feeling strong and empowered within yourself? Even if you have to pretend, there's that word again. What if you just imagined that you were strong and empowered? And since the mind can't tell the difference, as you said before, Joe, the mind can't tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined and what's a memory. You'd literally be wiring into this is what Olympic athletes do. They literally mentally rehearse, sit in a comfortable chair and imagine themselves. Maybe they're on the little diving platform to start the breaststroke or the whatever the swimming race, and they imagine themselves jumping into the pool hundredths of a second before everybody else, or crossing the finish line, or they're doing gymnastics and they're doing the twists and the turns and the tumbles and all and the flips, and they're doing it perfectly, and they're wiring it into their brain. Literally, they know they're wiring that into their brain just by imagining it. So if you're imagining failure, what if you're imagining that you're going to fail that test? Are you literally not just wiring that into your system? And so it's where people would need to get really aware. What are you practicing over and over again each and every day? Fear, anxiety, joy, happiness? It's up to you.
The people in the woo community call that manifesting,
Yeah.
but all manifesting is what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't get what you want, you get who you are.
Mhm.
And that's also another kick to the gut. So the reason you don't have what you want is you're not the person who can have that yet. But that's an
Yet.
important word, yet. You can have what you want. It's just you have to practice and you have
Mhm.
to rewire your system and you can have it. It just takes some practice.
Thank you so much for
Yeah,
joining me
Jill.
today.
Oh, you're welcome. It was fun talking with you.